Hello and welcome to another Global Shapers show coming to you live from the World Economic Forum. I'm Natalie and I lead the World Economic Forum's youth strategy, and it's great to have you with us today. As you join, please drop your city and country in the chat so we know where you're tuning in from. Let's jump straight into this month's community highlights. In just 6 short weeks, I can't believe I'm saying that, newly elected curators from Global Shapers hubs around the world will join us here in Geneva for the Global Shapers Annual Summit. This will include 3 days of leadership development, collaboration, and community building. Alongside the summit, we'll also be hosting our virtual event, Next Generation Now, our youth dialogues on LinkedIn Live from the 1st to the 2nd of July. Through open access conversations on leadership, entrepreneurship, climate action, and foresight, the event will bring together young people, experts, and change makers from across the globe. So whether you're a part of the Global Shapers community or joining us for the first time, this is a cool opportunity to learn about how the World Economic Forum is engaging with the next generation and to connect with your peers around the world. Registrations for the sessions are now open on our LinkedIn. We also have an exciting opportunity for global shapers who are passionate about elevating regional youth perspectives to inform our global platform. Applications are now open for the Youth Pulse 2027 Task Force, and we are looking for sub-regional stewards to help shape the next edition of Youth Pulse, the forum's flagship youth report. This year, the survey is expanding beyond the Global Shapers community to include young people worldwide, helping us to capture a broader and more inclusive range of perspectives. Selected stewards will strengthen regional outreach, they'll support local engagement, and they'll help ensure underrepresented voices are reflected in this year's report. Applications close on Friday, the 22nd of May. Another opportunity to highlight you is the forum's new Beyond Tourism Impact Stars initiative, which is recognizing scalable business-led solutions to help build a more resilient and sustainable tourism economy. If this is you or your organization, apply by the 15th of July. And finally, last but not least, a huge shout out to everyone who participated in this year's regional retreats. Over the past 2 months alone, Global Shapers have gathered across the Andes, the Kazakh Steppe, Naples, Toulouse, Karachi, and beyond for moments of learning, reflection, and connection. It was also wonderful to see members of our alumni community reunite in the Galapagos, a powerful reminder that the relationships built through this community continue long after the Global Shapers journey itself. Speaking of alumni, I'm incredibly proud to share that more than 15 Global Shapers were recently inducted into the Young Global Leaders class of 2026. And today in the studio, we're joined by 2 of these newly inducted Young Global Leaders, one in studio and one online, alongside the head of the Forum of Young Global Leaders for a conversation on what it means to lead in today's rapidly changing world. And as always, if you have questions for our amazing guests, please drop them in the chat throughout the show. Getting started, jumping right in, Ida, it's really a pleasure to welcome you back to the Global Shapers show. Ida is the head of the Forum of Young Global Leaders here at the World Economic Forum, and perhaps that is the right place to start today's episode. Ida, will you share a little bit more about what is the Forum of Young Global Leaders and why today is an important milestone in your new class?
Thank you so much, Natalie, and it's great being here today. So the Forum of Young Global Leaders is both a community. Over the years, the Forum, as part of its continued investments and really making sure that youth is a priority, continues to select young global leaders from across the world. So we now have more than 1,400 young global leaders from across different countries, and that includes as well our alumni community, apropos of our conversation today as well. So it's just something we're really, really proud of, really excited about. We have just announced a new class of young global leaders. We're really excited to welcome more than 100 young global leaders to the new class of 2026. A wonderful group I had an opportunity to spend time with in Geneva as part of our onboarding event. So this is really what the YGL community is. It's a community, and it's also a 3-year leadership development program that encompasses opportunities to participate in events such as our annual meeting. It also provides opportunities to take part in leadership development programs with leading universities across the world. We have, for example, our yearly collaboration with Harvard Kennedy School as well, which many YGLs have graduated from. And then finally, of course, the program also provides opportunities to take part in collaborative initiatives.
It's amazing. And I think, to me, one of the most exciting opportunities for global shapers to continue their engagement with the World Economic Forum. Before we go to a class member of 2026, I do want to ask, and I think this is the question every global shaper is asking themselves who are watching at home. When it comes down to the selection process, what are the kind of qualities, mindsets, or capabilities you're really looking for in a young global leader?
Thank you. Well, I would say it is really not me. That's the first thing I want to mention. We have an independent selection committee that each year selects more than 100 young global leaders for our community. And one of the beautiful things about our community is that we actually invite the community to nominate young global leaders all over the world and our extended network of partners. So that's the first thing I'll say, is that it is really through their selection and what they're looking for that we have the rich community that we have when it comes to richness in diversity of thought, richness in geographical representation, sectoral representation, etc. So what we're looking for as a collective is really both leaders who are ready to adapt and be prepared for the future. I think this is such a challenging moment to lead, and I'm sure there's so much we can learn as well from the global shapers tuning in today. So we're really looking for leaders who are ready to take on some of the big challenges of our time and also work alongside the World Economic Forum and our partners on moving the world forward. So the other thing I'll say is that it is really a multi-stakeholder community, just like the Global Shapers community. So we invite both representatives from academia, people from arts and culture, social innovators, civil society leaders, public figures, business leaders, founders, entrepreneurs, investors. So we really want to make sure that we have that diversity of viewpoints and experiences to help move the world forward. Of course, if you also happen to be remarkable within your field, whatever that field may be, and someone who is inspiring others through your work, I think you have a good shot at becoming a young global leader.
Our team in the Global Shapers team, we take that nomination responsibility really seriously. And when you look at the quality of the 2026 class, you can't help but be inspired. And so your team does such an effective job of identifying really outstanding, capable people into this role. That brings me to someone who I am deeply inspired by, and I'm always happy to see. So, Dana, welcome back to the World Economic Forum. You are currently still an active member of the Astana Hub, and you're also the founder of Forest Hero. You sit on the UN Youth Advisory Board. You have many important, influential roles in your profile. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
For being selected into the class of 2026. I wanted to ask you to maybe take us back to the moment where you found out you were selected as a young global leader and share with us, what did that feel like? What was your reaction? And perhaps, what does this mean to your work and your impact with Forest Hero?
Yes, first of all, thank you. And Honestly, when I received an email, my first reaction was disbelief. It took me several times to reread an email to understand that it's actually positive. But for sure, this reaction took me into a great gratitude, because I am the second YGL from Kazakhstan and from our region of Central Asia, and this recognition is not only personal for me, but also for the hub, the country, the region that I'm representing. And for sure, the Forest Hero, the company that I'm leading, when we started Forest Hero, we started from a question: how to make climate finance accessible to those who work with the land, farmers, landowners. And when we started, I was like, no, I'm too young to speak about this, big things as carbon credits, etc. But now the recognition and being part of YGL, it means me a lot, because I understand that now these conversations that we had 3 years ago it's not just conversations. It's building partnerships. We have so many classmates in the YGL 2026 who are into this topic, and yeah, for sure, it provided me with so many opportunities. Yeah.
I find that the Global Shapers community, the Forum of Young Global Leaders, they are catalytic platforms. If you're already making a positive impact in the world, these are ways to accelerate and amplify the work that you're doing, and to unlock a peer network that can really help you with where are you in your current challenges, how do you unlock new opportunities. So you're in the right place at the right time. I also have to acknowledge, for many people who go from Global Shapers to Young Global Leaders, they anticipate, oh, this is something that I have to achieve alumni status. But I think what's really cool, Dana, is you're an active Global Shaper. Your work is impressive in the hub, and it's even been recognized outside of your activities through the YGL class as well. I want to ask you, how did being a Global Shaper and the Global Shapers community experience help you in your personal and your professional capacities, and maybe even contribute towards your recognition as a Young Global Leader as well?
The first thing I should mention, I love that in the hub, as a Global Shaper hub, we don't have, let's say, a very huge system where someone is bigger or smaller, you have a position, and someone is just, let's say, an intern or something. So we are all equal, and it taught me a new way to lead. Because we are all on the same position, and we should collaborate together. What I also like about Global Shapers Hub, because I was a curator 2 years ago or something, we were so diverse, and we're still very diverse. We have people working in academia, we have artists as in the YGL class, we have entrepreneurs, and you, as a curator, for example, you have to deal with everyone. You have to inspire everyone, and you have to understand how they can contribute and how you have to work with them to make them stay in the hub sometimes. So I think it taught me a lot to work in a very different ways, to think different. And for sure, it was quite challenging, to be honest. Like when we started Global Shapers Hub in Kazakhstan, it was not that famous or popular. When you tell this name, it's not something like as Forbes or something that people sometimes know, but we did lots of job. So now we hosted our alumni event and the retreat, and we had ministers with us, we had so many heads of organizations, and the consistency also what was needed to achieve these achievements, like as well as curator leadership and like me being an entrepreneurship leader.
I think what you shared is so powerful because the lessons that you learn about leadership in a hub are so applicable to leadership far beyond the Global Shapers community. How do you lead in a decentralized network? How do you lead when you don't have hierarchy, but you really have to influence and inspire, and in our case, a team of volunteers, which is complex? How do you build your brand locally? How do you deliver results to stakeholders in a way that they see tangibly what are the capabilities of this team in a local context? I think Global Shapers by design is really a leadership laboratory where you're testing and flexing different skills and muscles. And I think that's a good segue to also ask you, Ida. The Young Global Leaders is an organization and is in a network that's existed for 2 decades. And at the helm of the Young Global Leaders community, you get to work with inspiring leaders across industries, as stakeholder groups, as you've described. What do you think you've learned about leadership in your role? Whether it's what types of leadership is successful in the current context, or perhaps what makes Young Global Leaders leadership unique. What are your leadership takeaways?
Well, I think the first thing I want to acknowledge is just that this is a very challenging moment in time to lead, given the speed of things and how rapid we're seeing significant shifts. The World Economic Forum's Global Risk Report, for example, highlighted some of those risks and also some of the big themes that we should all be paying attention to, whether it's misinformation and disinformation or shifts in nature and climate, and fragmentation, polarization. The list of topics to tackle is really, really long and daunting right now. So because of that, in this moment in time, I think there is really an opportunity for young people in particular to really come together and say, how do we leverage our skills to move the world forward together? And there are different approaches. I would say that the first thing we all have to embrace in this moment in time is really being able to adapt to changes very rapidly. So I think moving beyond a fixed mindset towards really an adaptive mindset. The other thing I would highlight is also, I think, the importance of bridge building. This is a very complex geopolitical landscape as well. So we're definitely seeing within our community some community members who are really, really good at just creating bridges and fostering dialogue between different sectors, communities as well. And then I think the other thing I would highlight is also foresight, being very curious about what's ahead, what's coming, and what's next. And to Natalie's point before, also coalition building. How do you look beyond the sector that you represent to also bring others in and make them excited about the work that you're doing to help move that forward? I think we're not an island. We can't work alone. We will be much stronger if we tackle some of these challenges together. So also maybe for some of the global shapers who might be tuning into this today, we published a report as well through our Global Future Council on leadership. And it's called Next Generation Leadership for Worldly Transformation. I really want to highlight that report as well. It also shares some recommendations about what's required, what's next from the world we live in.
I love that. We'll share the report in the chat for anyone who wants to read more. Talking about leadership as a practice and as something that evolves, your approach evolves, the way you approach leadership, all of those things are a continuous work in progress. And I think the Global Shapers community, we have a curatorship to try that in progress. We have different roles to practice different skills. I'm curious, Dana, your tenure as a Global Shaper is slowly coming to an end. You will become an alumni this year, which is an incredible accomplishment. When you look back at perhaps members who are just new, who are just joining the Global Shapers community, do you have any leadership advice that you would give a new member of this community, or things that you learned along the way?
So I would say first part of advice is don't wait for someone's permission or some specific moment to start. Actually, I think lots of young people, they wait till they will have a huge amount of funding or huge amount of titles or a huge team or expertise to start something, or they think that it's a lot of competition around them. But actually, there is no competition. People start, but they execute not that well, most of people, let's say. So probably don't be afraid to start. Start with a small thing. Do it consistently, and it will be for sure something that will be going beyond and becoming something big. And the second one, I would say, probably, as Ida mentioned, being adaptive. You know, today the trend is about AI. Tomorrow the trend will be about something else. So you have to be always adaptive and at the same time consistent. So working on what you are building, but being very adaptive to pivot sometimes. And probably the main thing that Global Shapers community can teach for the curators or any type of leaders within the community is about people. So once you understand how to work with people, doesn't matter what type of project, you will be successful in terms of leadership. Just be curious, listen carefully, think deeply, and I think you will be the best.
I love that. I think being attuned to what your team needs, being able to respond to those that you're working with, like those are such an important set of traits and capabilities. So that's great advice. And I think it's not lost on the Global Shapers community. You have to jump in somewhere. So if you want to create change, be the change you want to see. I think that's at the heart of what our network is all about. I see that we have also a question from our audience, so let's be sure to take at least one live questions. One of our Global Shapers from our Rawalpindi hub in Pakistan, Mohammed, asked a question to you, Ida. Is there an agreed upon collective impact framework for the YGL community that Global Shapers could embed into? Are there ways we could create impact together or examples that you could share?
First of all, thank you so much for sharing this question. I had the great opportunity to visit Pakistan now many years ago. I had a wonderful experience there, hoping to return one day. In terms of the impact framework, we are really looking at different indicators when we measure the impact of our community. We look at, for example, both how young global leaders are taking part in global problem solving, whether it relates to nature and climate or economic opportunities or job creation. So we really look at their involvement and their engagement in some of these I would say, long-term initiatives that are both led by the World Economic Forum, but also externally. Another set of indicators we look at is, of course, also transformation. To what extent is our leadership program and our curriculum really helping to transform leaders into the 21st century intentional leaders that the world needs right now? So that's another thing that we look at. And then, of course, now also, given how many shapers we have, one thing I'd be really curious about also in the future is what are the opportunities for us to come together across our communities to really see how can we drive impact together. So I definitely welcome the invitation to collaborate both on shared objectives, shared purpose, and going in the same direction, and also just very specific ideas about how to set up a good methodology to do that with the Shapers team.
That's awesome. There are so many ways. And first and foremost, I always advise any global shaper, depending on the city you're in, why don't we simply start with knowing who are the young global leaders in close proximity to you? And our Forum Spaces app can help with that. So one, identifying young global leaders that you can collaborate with at your city-based level, that's a good place to begin. And then as Ida talked about, at the global context, from insights to initiatives to the concrete work of even nominating new new young global leaders. These are all things that we can work on collaboratively across our two networks. So more to come in this space. I want to go next. We're also joined virtually by another Global Shaper alum who's a member of the 2026 class. Taha was a Global Shaper in the Geneva hub, and now he is the co-founder and CEO of Goodwall, a platform to equip young people with future-ready skills. And Taha, we've seen your journey evolve from Global Shaper to World Economic Forum Global Innovator, Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree, and now a young global leader. And I'm curious, Taha, building on our conversation, what were some of the early decisions that set you on this path that might be relevant for other global shapers?
First of all, Natalie, thank you so much for having me. I agree with so much that's been said. I mean, I really doubled down on so much that's been said by Dana earlier. I think some of the decisions that happened early were, first of all, the self-belief or that confidence that it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, it doesn't really matter where you're from, it doesn't really matter who you know. If you just believe in yourself and your idea, go for it. And that's a big part of the battle, just coming back to what Dana said earlier, which is just go for it. And chances are, if you work hard enough and if you stay resilient and adapt fast enough, you will get to a great outcome. So that was, I'd say, one. The other piece, which is related to my experience with the Shapers and has suited me well across my career, is you get what you put in. I think the Shapers community is just exceptional. I think it really did change my life. And one does have to, again, reiterating what Dana said, one does have to lean in. A little bit like in life, nothing is given to you. You get what you put in. And I think for me, it took me a little while to really understand. And at the beginning, maybe I was a bit nervous. Anecdotally, it took me a year to get in because my now dear friend Luigi Matrone, who was the then curator, lost my email in the application process. So I wasn't accepted initially. So it was really scary to reach out to him again and be like, hey, am I accepted or not? And in the end I was, but it really did need you to follow through. And then I think that applies everywhere. I've made some of my best friends from the Shaper community that have changed my life on a personal level. And it's changed our organization because, first of all, it allowed us to dream. That's like first thing. Many people can't dream as big or don't dream as big as we do. And I think a big reason why we're such big dreamers is because of the Shaper community and the wider World Economic Forum ecosystem, where you see just, how big the impact can be. And the other thing that I always refer back to within the forum's context is the, public-private coordination, the youth aspect, the civil society aspect, bringing it all together. So that really transformed our work. Sorry, I know that deviated a bit from your question, Natalie, but yeah,
Taha,
those are some of the decisions.
Taha, I'm so grateful for that persistency because you've certainly left your mark on the Global Shapers community. I want to talk a little bit, Taha, about Goodwall. So you founded Goodwall to help young people maximize their potential and create positive impact. And how are you achieving this mission today? And how, becoming a young global leader, what are your goals next?
Yeah, thanks, Natalie. We started Goodwall because my brother and I, we believe the most meaningful thing we could do with our lives would be to give some of the chances and opportunities we had growing up to 100 million other young people. If we think about it, there's over 1.5 billion youth around the world. Most of them will never, ever, no matter how smart, no matter how hardworking, have the opportunity to be on this call with you today, or to have the network I've built, or to have the mentorship I've received, or to have had the internship I had. So we thought, look, what can we do to give other young people the best chance to be the best versions of themselves? And if they do that, they'll then have the leverage to be able to create positive change in their local communities. So we ended up building Goodwall, which is a mobile-first platform, which essentially takes content from leading brands and organizations and converts them into fun, engaging, experiential learning, which helps young people discover themselves, their pathways into future opportunity and skills. We do that alongside some of the leading companies in the world, some of the leading organizations, and as well with governments, serving over 3.5 million learners today, and working alongside some of the biggest organizations, from the Microsofts to the UNICEFs, which are amazing partners of ours.
Thank you, Taha. I'm so inspired to see the time that you joined the Global Shapers community, Goodwall's growth. I also, every time we reconnect with the Goodwall team, it's made up of inspiring global shapers from around the world. So I'm so impressed, Taha, and congratulations for everything that you've built. Today's episode is all about leadership. Taha, one leadership lesson that's been pivotal in your career. I'm curious what it is.
Lead, or at least try to lead from the front. So don't expect anyone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. Starting off with working hard, starting up by getting into the real nitty gritty, and then going from there. Natalie, if I may, you asked me a question which I just forgot a little bit earlier, which was, what am I hoping from the Young Global Leader community? I think, and this is maybe my 2 cents about the Global Shaper community, I think my first goal is to give as much as I can, whether that be my knowledge, my network, my just being nice, hopefully. And then I know something will come back eventually. And that's what happened with me with the Shaper community. Like you start by, not necessarily fixing a hard objective, but like give, and then things really do happen. I mean, that is something that many, many people have talked about within the wider World Economic Forum way of working, which is the power of serendipity. And I'm looking forward to really growing and learning from these different leaders from very different backgrounds, as well as from an organizational perspective, hopefully forging new partnerships and creating more impact, both on the government side as well as with different organizations.
Thank you, Taha. From Global Shapers to Young Global Leaders, we're excited to be a part of your continued journey. So Taha, thanks for joining us today. Last but not least, one of our fan favorites in the Global Shapers live show is our rapid fire questions at the end of today's episode. So, Taha won't be able to join us. I have 2 people in the hot seat for our rapid fire round. So these are quick answers, spontaneous answers. Let's wrap up the episode with some fun questions. What's one word to summarize your leadership style? Maybe Ida can go first.
One word, principles. I think it's very important in this moment in time to be very clear and very precise about your own principles. I think the labor market is shifting. We will be faced with demands we cannot yet predict. But I think even more so, it's important to be mindful of your own principles, and perhaps sometimes even more focused on that than your own title. So in my own case, I had 3 words that I wrote down on a piece of paper many years ago that I use as Northern Stars to guide my work. Compassion, curiosity, and courage. So it doesn't mean that that's always how I show up, but I definitely use it as Northern Stars, and I take that into any environment that I am in to try to hold myself accountable. So principles.
I love that. Dana?
Probably serving. So it doesn't matter if you're a president or you're a CEO of a small company with only 5 team members. You serve your clients, you serve your audience, you serve your team, yourself, and serving probably.
I love that. That was a combination of mine. I was going to say purpose, but I actually think I prefer service. Great answers. A city that has inspired you recently, anywhere in the world.
Okay, well, because we have community members from all over the world, I'll actually not mention one city because I've had so many lovely experiences with the community. I'm going to keep it safe then. I'll say Copenhagen. Copenhagen is my city outside of Geneva. That's also where I'm from, and I love it because I can bike there.
I hope someone is tuning in from our Copenhagen hub. Dana?
Mine is Kyoto in Japan.
Kyoto.
So the city, even Japan is so about technology, you know, this kind of rapid lifestyle, but Kyoto could save that traditional spirit within the city.
Last rapid fire question. What do you think is one thing that young people are better at than older generations?
I would say that I prefer when it all comes together. I think in this moment in time, there is too much fixation of the divides between different generations. I think this is a moment for us to really see what are some of the benefits of intergenerational leadership. What are different generations bringing to the table when it comes to tackling global issues? How can we learn from each other? But also, let's not use this moment in time to share too many stereotypes. I think the younger generation, that's a term for so many different things, so many different skill sets, so many different approaches. So I think having that curiosity around what we all contribute will be helpful.
Yeah, I think scrolling and typing, because I really believe there is no difference. We are all kind of the same. We just have different environment around us. So probably I would not, compare as someone is better or, quicker or something.
I do think that curiosity element is super valuable. I think young people are naturally wired to be curious and also are wired to maybe feel a sense of responsibility. There's a long life ahead. We need to make a difference now and feel that impetus towards urgency towards action. So I agree. Now is a moment for intergenerational collaboration and dialogue. And I think for anyone who's tuning in next month into the Global Shapers Annual Summit, that theme is really at the heart of what our virtual program aims to do. So I think that's a really helpful, also maybe introduction for what's to come in next month's Global Shapers show and our live production. With that, it brings us to the end of another episode of the Global Shapers show. Thank you, Ida, thank you, Dana, and thank you, Taha, for being on today's episode, talking about your journey with the Global Shapers community and your new journey as you continue with the Forum of Young Global Leaders. To our online audience, I hope this episode leaves you inspired to lead with purpose, to build meaningful connections, and to continue creating impact in your communities and beyond. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.